Hello, I'm Joe Doveton from Fresh Egg, and I'm going to talk to you about conversion optimization for business to business. Fresh Egg is a digital marketing company. We've been providing conversion advice for nearly 10 years now. Our team has come up with site improvements worth millions of pounds in uplift for our clients. We continue to work with big and small brands in B2B, but also in other sectors such as retail, education, and financial services. In the last year alone, the conversion optimization work that we've done for non-e-commerce sites has resulted in an average conversion rate improvement of 33% for non-e-commerce websites. Increasing leads by a third has the potential to transform a lot of businesses. But first, what is conversion rate optimization, or as it's usually abbreviated, CRO? Conversion rate optimization is the discipline of improving the performance of your website. Rather than search engine optimization, SEO, or PPC advertising, Google AdWords, which are both about driving traffic to your site, CRO is about improving the experience for customers when they arrive on your site. Usually it involves analysing user behaviour and testing new versions of your web pages to see which one performs the best. So why CRO for business to business? Pretty much all businesses that sell to other businesses have a website, and pretty much all of them have websites that generate leads for sales teams. The principle of optimization for B2B websites is exactly the same as it is for B2C. You need to make it easy for the user to read the site, navigate around it, find content, gather information, and take an action. For B2B sites, a converting action could be something like picking up the phone or completing a form. So for the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to give you Fresh Egg's top 10 tips for CRO success in B2B. The first one is trust your data. It's really important to have accurate, reliable analytics, but it's surprising and scary the number of businesses that are reporting internally on inaccurate data. This means your executives could be making business decisions on wonky information. Luckily, there is a quick and easy solution. Get a professional analytics health check. Some of the problems we routinely see at Fresh Egg include high levels of bot traffic, sometimes up to as high as 90%, page conversion tracking broken due to factors like one-page websites or use of iframes, and call tracking not being in place. So when you think about your data, what you need to ask yourselves are you tracking the right things? Are the correct events being recorded? How is the information being reported back into the business, and who's acting upon it? Tip number 2, get a process. The key thing to remember is that there are broadly 3 stages to successful CRO. Firstly, some form of research to understand where the problems lie. Secondly, an ongoing strategy to make changes. And thirdly, an iterative program of improvements, usually via A/B testing your designs. The important word here is iteration. Your website should never be finished. You should be constantly looking for improvements. Get an executive sponsor in the business, somebody who buys into the idea of increasing lead generation from the existing traffic and is happy for you to introduce a culture of experimentation. This means accepting that some A/B tests lose. Luckily, there's no right way of working and a right toolkit. Anyone can do it. You just need something that works with your business. It's perfectly acceptable to start small. Just get started. You might not need a full-time team. Building a virtual project team where you've got part of the working week of a web analyst, project manager, or UX person can work very well. Start with the process of data gathering. Find out what's wrong with your site. Which leads us on to tip 3. Have a scientific approach. Now there are many options for collecting information. Most CRO programs start with this period of data gathering. Why? Because currently, most of the decisions you make are based on opinion. Often, one person's opinion, the boss. However, chances are the hippo could be wrong, so you need to collect evidence about why your site isn't performing as it should. You'll be looking at performance data from Google Analytics. How is your paid traffic performing? What about traffic from social media? Which geographical locations are providing you with the most leads? You'll also be looking at your competitors' designs. How do they generate leads? Also, what do your customers think about the site? Why don't you run surveys and find out? All of this will allow you to build up a fuller picture of how people interact with your site and what they actually want you to improve. And once you've got this evidence, build a clear scientific hypothesis, something like, if we reduce the clutter around our forms, then more customers will complete them due to it being easier to read. Tip number 4, page leakage. A really valuable piece of evidence is page leakage. Currently, your website is like a leaky bucket, whether you know it or not. There are pages or funnels where you're losing customers that could be converting. You just need to know which are the most important pages. Page leakage is calculated by multiplying page value by the site exit rate. You can assign page value in the Admin tab in Google Analytics under Goals. This gives you, in order, the list of the most valuable pages on your website that feature a converting journey that will still have a high exit rate. This means you can identify the pages that are the biggest holes in your leaky bucket and focus on improving those pages first instead of wasting time on pages that are already performing okay. Tip number 5, hierarchy of goals. When you look at a website, it's not always clear what the website owner wants you to do. Have a look at this example from a B2B technology website. So these guys sell e-invoicing software online via a SaaS model. Here's the homepage. They've got 3 calls to action. You can click How to Order. You can click Contact Us. You can also click on Get Support. The point is, with that design, there were far too many calls to action all in competition with each other. The user didn't really have clear direction about what you want them to do. So you need to have a hierarchy of goals. If it's to get users to fill in a form, have a big Inquire Now button in a prominent position with a high contrast colour. Better still, test alternative versions of CTA language such as Request a Callback or Request Brochure. Don't clutter prime page real estate with prominent links that aren't going to get you direct leads. Is your priority to get customers going off to Facebook or Twitter? If not, make those social buttons monochrome and put them below the fold. Get users making phone calls or completing forms instead. On the topic of forms, tip number 6, improve forms. We could run a whole session just on optimizing web forms. In the vast majority of cases, B2B web forms need improving. Some of the common problems include canvassing data that you don't really need, adding an unnecessary length to the field, asking for work phone, mobile phone, home phone, fax, dominating the page with a huge banner image, pushing the form under the fold where the user can't see it, using confusing drop-downs, having a multi-column layout, having bad error validation so users don't know where they've gone wrong. The bare facts are that short forms work better, vertical forms work better, forms above the fold work better, clear error validation works better. Luckily, there's a whole range of tools you can use to improve forms. Set up user testing videos. Have a look at some of your customers struggling to complete the forms. Also, use form analytics. There were great tools like Inspectlet or Formissimo, which can pinpoint specifically which fields are the most problematic. But while we're on the topic, don't forget the phone, because mobile is a game changer. Mobile web traffic has now overtaken desktop traffic. A joint survey between Google and Millward Brown found that 42% of B2B decision makers use a mobile device when researching a B2B procurement. Another Google survey found that 74% of B2B decision makers are more likely to return to a mobile-friendly site. Mobile usability now has a direct impact on your Google rankings, and mobile Google searches have increased by 300%. So you need to think about how your site loads and behaves on a phone. Everything is different. Usually, orientation is in portrait. Users are swiping and tapping, not using the mouse. The graphic on the screen shows the thumb zone, the part of the screen that can be reached with a user browsing with their thumb. This fundamentally alters how you design your web page. There are numerous common web problems. The biggest is probably site load speed. If your site has lots of bandwidth-hungry images that aren't properly compressed, this may slow your page loading. A study by Movi found that if your page hasn't loaded in 4 seconds, phone users will already have started swiping down the page. So you need a mobile-first approach, either a responsive site that works well on both desktop and mobile, or a specific M.dot site. You might even need an app if you have a utility that helps decision makers. You need to consider how customers use the phone, primarily portrait with fingers and thumbs, so avoid unnecessarily small forms and difficult-to-use drop-downs. And always allow users to click to call straight through to your sales team. Tip number 8, sales and customer service. Talking of your sales team, chances are some of the most valuable knowledge you can bring into a B2B CRO program is locked up in the heads of your sales teams and your customer service guys. There's a very good chance that you might not know how much valuable data they have. The sales teams and customer services are speaking to people who are using your site every day of the week, helping with information queries, qualifying leads, helping people get pricing. So you need to conduct internal stakeholder interviews with your sales team and customer services. Often they are dealing with queries like, I can't find information about X on your website. What improvements are being suggested to them by your customers? Number 9, get a good toolkit. To do CRO, you don't just need people and processes, you will still need a good toolkit. The fortunate thing is that there are a myriad of options for a good toolkit to fit every size of budget and aspiration. In the enterprise space, established only 6 years ago, Optimizely now has the biggest install base of any testing platform and also arguably the best support network. Adobe's Test and Target is the £800 gorilla in this space in terms of complexity, capability and price. These testing platforms are complemented by high-performance, big-ticket tools in the space of click visualization, such as Decibel Insight, and enterprise standard web prototyping tools like Azure. Fortunately, there were loads of brilliant tools that would give you some of the functionality of the enterprise tools at a fraction of the cost. Hotjar and Bunting do cheap survey and personalization software. And in the A-B testing arena, there are a few options now with A-B testing and OmniConvert, providing the ability to do split testing at a lower monthly cost. My final top tip for CRO success is regarding personalization. This topic's been getting increasing amounts of focus over the last year or so, very closely related to CRO because personalization requires a lot of the same skills and often the same tools are used. Adobe and Optimizely both have personalization products. The important thing to remember is that you will need to move towards personalization. You can't get there in one leap. It starts with understanding your customer segments and having the ability to put tailored messages in front of these segments. In many ways, personalization may be easy with B2B because some of you have a finite universe of potential customers, and you will already be encouraging customers to sign up for newsletters or member benefits. You might have good data on repeat customers. To this customer data, you can add personalization by geo-IP location, time of day, or even products previously viewed. But don't expect to get to highly targeted personalization straight away. Remember, personalization is a journey, not a destination. So that wraps up my top 10 tips for CRO success in B2B. Following these top 10 tips will help you move out of the dark ages and start introducing data into your design decisions. Real customer information rather than gut feel. And although split testing is great, remember too that CRO is not just about A/B testing. There are other methods of generating actionable insight, from looking in detail at your analytics to understanding user studies, and especially interviewing internal stakeholders and doing customer surveys. Finally, I will just ask you to stop putting in blockers and just get started. Many organizations in B2B are gaining competitive advantage by running CRO programs. Why shouldn't yours be one of them?